dan saya adalah kreator dari Stargazer Ball Kingdom. Dan sekarang kita akan bereaction. Nah, ini gimana? Ini ada apa aja? Nih ya, maksudnya bahannya tuh dia tuh mengandung apa aja dan gimana cara kerja dari bom Little Boy dan juga Fatman. Ya. Ya. Yang ngebom Hiroshima sama Nagasaki itu loh. Ya. Ayo kita mulai ya.
In this video, we will look at how an atomic bomb works, specifically the little boy that was dropped in Hiroshima, Japan in 1945. Little Boy is a gun-type fission weapon that was based from the unsuccessful nuclear bomb Thin Man. This is how huge the little boy is compared to a person. It has a mass of 4,400 kilograms and a length of 3 meters. It's just a small bomb, but a devastating one. Let's look at its major parts first before we see its mechanism. Batteries and timer. 64 kilograms of enriched uranium-235, which are hollow cylinders. Uranium-235 is a chemical element capable of sustaining nuclear chain reaction. We'll talk about this later. The uranium-235 is divided into two parts, the uranium projectile ring slug and the uranium target rings. The next parts are the three electric gun primers, which are used to set off the powder charges. Next, it has the cordite powder bags or the charges. Projectile steel backing. Projectile tungsten carbide disc. Barometric pressure sensor holes connected to barometric device. 72-inch smoothbore gun barrel where the projectile slug passes. That is why this is called a gun-type bomb, because it's detonated like you are firing a gun. Arming safety plugs, used to make sure that the bomb does not detonate upon transport. Tungsten carbide tamper cylinder sleeves. Altitude radar with Yagi antennas, an instrument used to measure the altitude of the bomb using radar. Impact absorbing anvil. Tungsten carbide tamper plug. 4 modulated neutron initiators codenamed Abner, which are placed on the tungsten carbide tamper plug. This initiator is added in order to make sure that the nuclear chain reaction occurs. Although others believe that the collision of the uranium-235 is already enough to produce the needed neutrons for the chain reaction. Now, this is how the little boy is detonated. As soon as this bomb is released from the plane, these arming plugs are pulled out, therefore activating the timer running on a 24 volts battery. This timer is very important so that the bomb does not explode too early, therefore compromising the aircraft, and if it's too late, the intended high levels of blast wave and increased yields of thermal radiation will not be met. The recommended altitude for reaching high levels of blast wave, and if it's too late, the intended high levels of blast wave and increased yields of thermal radiation will not be met. The recommended altitude for reaching high levels of blast wave and increased yields of thermal radiation is 580 kilometers from the ground for this kind of bomb. 15 seconds after the release, the bomb uses its barometric device to identify which altitude it is in, measuring the air pressure. The purpose of this barometric stage is to delay the activation of the radar altimeters in order to avoid external radar signals to detonate the bomb too early. Then, at 2,000 meters from the ground, the radar altimeters are activated, calculating the altitude of the bomb. When the radar altimeter detects the designated altitude, which is 580 kilometers, the firing switch circuit is closed. Then, the gun primers in the breech plug are ignited, which set off the 4 cordite powder bags. This then launches the uranium projectile towards the opposite end of the gun barrel, where the target is placed at a speed of 300 meters per second. Take note that when the impact happens, The four modulated neutrons initiator are also activated. The polonium and beryllium inside them mix together, then release a burst of neutrons. These neutrons are important in kick-starting the nuclear chain reaction. Then, the neutrons will bombard the larger uranium-235 atoms. Each uranium-235 atom bombarded with one neutron will release two more uranium-235 atoms, three neutrons, and energy. Then the new neutrons will bombard other uranium-235 atoms. Then the process is repeated, hence being called a nuclear chain reaction. This nuclear chain reaction continues until the energy released explodes violently, forming a fireball, releasing both thermal pulse and shockwave, causing massive damage to humans and other living things and properties. This kind of breaking down the uranium-235 atom using neutron is called nuclear fission. That is why the little boy is called a gun-type fission bomb. The little boy bomb that was detonated in Hiroshima yielded 15 kilotons of TNT and damaging up to 3.5 kilometers in diameter, with 1.6 kilometer in diameter having been completely destroyed where the fireball mainly was formed.
Aserewa, dinginnya,
Dan
kecil-kecil
sekarang yang
bikin chill.
Fatman ya.
In this video, we will look at how Fat Man, the second atomic bomb that was dropped in Nagasaki, Japan, works. Fat Man is an implosion-type nuclear bomb. This is also a nuclear bomb like the little boy, but has a different style of detonating. This is how huge it is compared to a person. It has a mass of 4,670 kilograms and a length of 3.3 meters. Let's look at its major parts first before we see its mechanism. AN-129 impact fuses, Archie radar antenna, plate with batteries, X5 firing set which ignites the detonators, plate with instruments like radars, barrow switches and timers, barrow tube collector, 32 pieces of explosive bridge wire detonators, green safety and red arming plugs, implosion sphere which has several spheres inside like faster explosive which is made up of 32 blocks arranged carefully to form a sphere. This contains composition B explosives commonly found in grenades and M107 projectiles. Slower explosive, then another faster explosive, aluminum pusher, uranium tamper, plutonium pit with plutonium-239, a chemical element capable of sustaining a nuclear chain reaction, just like the uranium-235 in Little Boy. Neutron initiator called Urchin with polonium and beryllium inside. This releases the neutrons which are very important in kick-starting the nuclear chain reaction. This implosion sphere is where the implosion happens. Now, this is how the Fat Man is detonated. This bomb is released at about 9,150 meters from the ground. Seconds before releasing, these green safety plugs are pulled out, then retaining the red arming plugs. After this, the timer of the bomb is activated. A few seconds later, the barometric device is then activated to identify the altitude of the bomb by measuring the air pressure. Then, when the designated altitude is reached, the radar altimeter is activated to identify the bomb's final altitude using radar. These three stages, timer stage, barometric stage, and radar altimeter stage, are used in order to make sure the bomb doesn't detonate too early, therefore compromising the plane, or if it's too late, the target high level of blast wave and thermal radiation will not be achieved. 43 seconds later, or when the radar detects the designated altitude, which is about 500 to 590 meters from the ground, the firing switch circuit is closed, therefore activating the firing set. The fire set sends electrical impulses through all the wires simultaneously to the explosive bridge wire detonators. Then, the faster explosive explodes inward, sending shock wave to the next lower explosive, to the faster explosive, to the aluminum pusher, to the tamper sphere, then compressing the inner components, making the plutonium pit denser. The shock wave then reaches the urchin, therefore crushing it. Then, the polonium and beryllium inside it mix together and release a burst of neutrons to the compressed plutonium-239. These neutrons bombard the larger plutonium-239 atoms. The plutonium-239 atom bombarded with one neutron splits into two plutonium-239 atoms and releases 3 neutrons and energy. The same thing also happens to other plutonium-239 atoms. Now, this uranium-238 tamper sphere makes sure that no neutrons escape by reflecting them back to the plutonium pit. Eventually, this uranium-238 tamper also undergoes nuclear fission itself, contributing 30% to the total blast yield. This nuclear chain reaction continues until the energy released explodes violently, forming a fireball and releasing thermal pulse and shock wave that heavily damage the area, properties, and kill human beings. In the event that the firing set fails and does not detonate the bomb in the air, the 4AN129 fuses would get activated once they hit the ground, therefore detonating the bomb. These fuses are installed to make sure the bomb does not fall to the hands of the enemies. The Fat Man that was dropped in Nagasaki yielded 21 kilotons of TNT and destroyed up to 2-kilometer radius. It had lesser damage than the Little Boy because of the hilly geography of Nagasaki, while the Little Boy was detonated in Hiroshima, which has a flat area. If you want to know how the Little Boy bomb works, the bomb that was dropped in Hiroshima, then watch this video.
This video has been
Aduh, 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 aduh. Soalnya gue ketiduran sampai sini dulu.